Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Graciela Chichilnisky. And we're going to be discussing her amazing book, Reversing Climate Change, How Carbon Removals Can Resolve Climate Change and Fix the Economy. Now, it's available for purchase through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pretty much wherever books are sold. But if you want to gather everything that Graciela has in store, people, do yourself a favor and head directly to her personal site. And that's Chichilnisky.com. There, you'll find more information on Graciela herself, more information on this fantastic narrative. You'll find videos of previous interviews and talks that she's done. Listen, it's a one-stop shop, okay? I mean that. You're going to have to head on over to Chichilnisky.com and gather everything that she has in store. And just to make sure that there's no spelling errors, I'm going to spell it out for you. That's CHICHILNISKY.com. So one more time, that's Chichilnisky.com. And I do want to take this opportunity and quickly point out that Graciela was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by one of the best companies in the business, Quipper Prints. Listen to me, people, if you are a writer out there or you know someone that is, and they have a book that they need help moving, well, I'm going to give you some of the best advice you're going to receive today. Contact Quipper Prints and see what they can do for you. All right, they're one of the best in the business to do it. They specialize in taking your literary creation to the next level. So head on over to quipperprints.com today and gather all of the information and all of the helpful ways they're going to help take your book to the next level. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Graciela here on the line. Now, right there in the title, there's no beating around the bush, okay? Reversing climate change. You understand the topic at hand. And I'm looking forward to this, people. Okay, now listen, I'm going to be the first to say it here on our network. Depending on your background, depending on where you fall, unfortunately so politically, you may look at climate change and think it's a fabrication, right? Think it's a lie. Think it's propaganda even. Well, I'm here to tell you, first and foremost, there's no place for that here on our network because we absolutely believe in it. We know that this is fact. We believe the science behind it that tells us it's fact. And I'm so much looking forward to Graciela's words because this book is an educational resource, okay? This book is going to teach us all of the ways around climate change and how, first and foremost, people, get ready for this. I hope you're sitting down. We can reverse it. That's right. Okay, listen, I know it's a hot topic politically, and this is not a political podcast, so I'm not going to go into it. Wherever you fall and whatever you believe, listen, I'm all for it, okay? You believe what you want to believe, it's totally fine. But for me, I'm here to tell you that based upon Graciela's findings, we can reverse climate change. Now, it's not an easy task, okay? She's going to go into a brief discussion about it, and she's going to show how it takes a lot of work and a lot of financial backing. But the silver lining is we can reverse it. And listen, after that notion, anything else is doable and anything else needs to be done because this is something that is absolutely detrimental to our future human family. And for any of my listeners out there that have kids, I have a daughter myself. I'm worried about this upcoming world. I'm worried about the world I am leaving behind to her. So if I have any ounce of responsibility that I can offer and help to create this climate change and resolve it, listen, I'm going to do what I have to do, and I'm going to make sure it gets done. And this is just one step in the right direction. And at the end of the day, Graciela is the expert. She's written the book. She's done the research. This is her background, and she's going to be able to educate us all. So do me a favor, sit back, strap in, and have your notebooks ready. Graciela, this is an absolute delight and such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us today on People of Distinction. How are you doing?
Very well. It's a pleasure, Benji, to be here and to talk with your audience.
Likewise. Likewise. Listen, the pleasure is all ours. It truly is an honor, and we're very much looking forward to this. I know that the words that are on the page are very informative, and we are truly delighted. I mean, this is a gift that you're offering right now. Now, before we go into those words on those pages, because I know there's a lot that we have to discover and really to discuss, rather, let's start off by talking a little bit more about your background, please. Graciela, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, you know from the book that I was born in Argentina and that I have received the top education in the United States, where I went to graduate school without ever going to college at MIT and UC Berkeley, got 2 PhDs in mathematics and in economics, and I taught at Harvard University, the top universities, including more recently Stanford University, and I am a professor right now at Columbia University, a tenured professor. So education has been one of the great gifts I received from the United States when I came to this country. And I have to tell you, it's the best educational system in the world.
Wow. Well, listen, people, could we have selected a more perfect embodiment of a person of distinction to be on our network? My goodness, congratulations on all of the accolades that you've been able to amass over the years. And we know that, listen, all of the niceties aside, today is all about reversing climate change. So I'm not going to hold off any longer. Let's jump right into the book. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, I wrote this book because after working on climate change for most of my life, I realized it was misunderstood. People did not understand the scientific complications. This is simple. The CO2 that we are spewing on the atmosphere when we burn fossil fuels is causing climate change. And it's climate change that, listen to this, is similar to what Hitler did when he exterminated about 6 million Jews using gas in the gas chambers. The gas that Hitler used was CO2. And we are now using CO2 not in the gas chambers over the entire world. And that will lead to the extinction of the human species. That's why I wrote this book. That's why you are here today. That's why we have to do something about it, which we can right now.
Graciela, that is a chilling comparison. Thank you very much, because I think that there is, listen, that's opened my eyes. And that's the first time that I've heard the comparison for that, but it is absolutely chilling and remarkable for you to put it that way. Listen, I know you started to go into inspiration already. Well, I want to dig a little bit further, because my next question culminates your background and also this book. Because, Graciela, I know that you have been working on climate change all of your scientific life. Why did you decide to publish this book now?
Because I have a message for your audience, a message for the people of the planet. And I have to convey that message because it makes the difference between survival and a human future, and no survival and no future for the human species. That's why I have been lucky enough to receive with my team a Nobel Prize in the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change representing the United States. And I have also received very large number of awards, and I have even created laws like 45Q, which I worked for 2 congressmen in creating. White House and Barroso, a Republican and a Democrat. And they created, with my help, a law called 45Q that allows the solution I'm talking about to be part of the Congress of the United States because it is a U.S. law. It was passed about 6 years ago. This is just part of the problem. The real problem is that we did not know that fossil fuels, when they burn, generate the same gas that Hitler used to exterminate the Jews, because humans die when they are exposed to CO2 instead of oxygen. They just die. So people were not clear on that. Now we are clear. And I'm here with that message. It is clear. Can we do something about it? Yes. There is other forms of energy that don't involve burning fossil fuels. And the least expensive of all the energy in the world today is solar energy, photovoltaic, solar energy coming from the sun, which is the source of all the energy that we use in the planet, and it's totally clean. So this can be done. The problem is not whether it can be done. The problem is, do we have enough time to do it? And are we going to focus on it, or are we going to get involved in unending disputes of one form or another? There is no room, there is no time for disputes. We do have the means for success. But the success now requires that in addition to using clean energy coming directly from the sun and not from fossil fuels, in addition to that, we must now remove the CO2 which is already in the atmosphere, because that CO2 is poison. And it's going to not only hurt the survival of our species, but actually will lead to the extinction rather, of all other animal species that we share the planet with. In fact, we are now, it's accepted by scientists all over the world, we are in the 6th largest extinction in our planet in terms of life on the planet. All the extinctions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is number 6, happen because of changes in climate. And it's happening again for that reason. What can we do to reverse climate change? We have gone too far. What can we do? And as I said, we do have clean energy, but in addition, the National Academy of Sciences of the United States and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change of the United Nations, which received the Nobel Prize in the issue of climate change when I was representing the United States, say yes, what we need to do is remove the CO2 that is already in the atmosphere. Can this be done? Yes. Will that reverse climate change? Yes. But it's incredibly difficult. We need to remove approximately 500 gigatons of CO2, 500 million tons of CO2 from the atmosphere. Can this be done? Yes, but it needs to be done right away. It takes a lot of time, which we don't have. How much time do we have? We need to do all this in 10 or 20 years. Can we do it? Yes. Do we have the technology? Yes. But the question is, how much will it cost? And I have to tell you, I wanted to have this interview because I have discovered financial instruments that I just patented actually, and I'm prepared to work with the entire scientific community of the United States, but also the private investors in the world that have what's called dry powder, which means ready investment, private investment, to the tune of $4 trillion in this area involving the environment. Those $4 trillion are being offered by investors that see the future for their portfolios in this area. And I'm willing to answer questions about how to do it. And I'm working with institutions, investment institutions, the top, in the United States and with the United Nations and with the European Union emission trading system as well to get this to you. These are financial opportunities that are enormous, but they need to be understood. They need to be created as financial instruments in a decentralized way, in a democratic way. This is not a matter of having laws and forcing people to do anything.
Right.
There is one thing I think I have to say, which is not all perfect. First of all, we have to do so much that it's going to be a forced march. It's not a leisure situation. It's not a leisurely step. We have to really remove the CO2 which is in the atmosphere. We have to do it. We can do it. How do we do it? Well, the CO2 that is in the atmosphere can be used for a large number of purposes. I have a short movie in my website that explains everything that can be done with the CO2 that can remove it from the atmosphere and put it to good use. In fact, CO2 can be used to replace gasoline. So just give you some example. It can be used to replace cement. It can be used to replace aggregate. And it can be used to provide to water, to make drinkable water out of the oceans, which is so needed in the entire world. So CO2 can be used in a very positive fashion, but it has to be done in an organized way, and we have to do it right away. There is no time to waste.
Graciela, oh my, okay, so there's so much here that I'm at the edge of my seat listening to you talk about this. Now, at first, I wanted to go into, well, what can the everyday person do, right? Because a lot of times the main topic is, oh, okay, we'll buy hybrid vehicles or electric vehicles because that limits the fossil fuels for the atmosphere. But it sounds to me like you're saying the more detrimental thing, the bigger cause for concern right now is the CO2 that's already in the atmosphere, in removing that. And now you're talking about the positive ways that that CO2 can be transferred and utilized for. So I guess my follow-up question to you, Graciela, as we start to close out here, because listen, I know myself and I'll be able to sit here and talk to you for hours because I'm just that engulfed in what you're saying. I'm hanging on to every single word here. But for the sake of this interview, I got to tell myself, like, Benji, this is not about you. For the everyday person.
It's not about me.
Right. For the everyday person, what can we do? Because, again, I know that you're talking about this is going to take a lot of work and a lot of financial backing. And taking that CO2 that's already in the atmosphere, that obviously is not something that the everyday person can do. So this is something that needs to be done by people that have the financial means and corporations that have the technology to be able to do that. Now, what can the everyday person do to contribute to this matter, Graciela?
I will tell you right away at least 3 things. Number 1, the simplest possible thing is decrease your consumption of meat. If possible, stop eating meat.
Okay.
In fact, if we stopped eating meat altogether right now, not only we spare cruel death of animals right now, but in addition, we can redress climate change. We can resolve climate change because 25% of all the problems comes from the production, the trading of meat, animals. And we don't need to. We have ways in which we can consume meat alternatives that are very difficult to distinguish from meat, and everybody knows that. It's called impossible meat or whatever. So it works. And we had to stop consuming and trading and transporting meat. That's one example. Now, another example is let's use photovoltaic energy, use solar cells instead of gasoline or gas for warming or cooling our houses and for transportation. So essentially, we have the technology. Everybody knows that. We just have to stop using the regular gasoline, and we can stop using gas to heat our homes, or even worse, cool our homes. We can use solar power to do that.
Yeah.
And in the United States and in New York, the government offers to pay for your solar cells. So the equipment needed to produce energy from the sun directly is provided for free by the government, at least in New York and in other states as well. So, but we need to educate ourselves and start doing it. It's clean, and it doesn't create CO2, the gas which is so poisonous to the human species and to all the living species right now. The CO2 is valuable for vegetation. They live of CO2. But for all the animals, it's poison. So we had to stop the CO2 production, and we had to clean the CO2 that is already in the atmosphere, which we can do, and the government actually pays you so that you can transform heating your house into a clean activity. This can be done, heating or cooling your house. Same thing about vehicles, but be careful, because electric vehicles, electricity is the biggest source of emissions of CO2. So depending on what vehicles you are using, you may be making the problem worse. So you have to be careful there. But apart from that, we have all the means. But the problem is we overshot. So now we have to clean the legacy CO2, which is already in the atmosphere, just as you said. Now we can make that into a profitable activity. For example, CO2 can be used to grow vegetables faster, better, safer. Because on the planet, vegetables consume CO2 and emit oxygen, while animals consume oxygen and emit CO2. So what happened is that we have in this period of time changed the balance between vegetation and animals, but we have to redress that, and we can. And the plants are our friends in that direction. We have to restore forests, trees, and stop eating animals. They are in the process of disappearance. We know that. Animals from the oceans and animals from the land, in order to live, they should not be exposed to CO2. So we can do all this. And where is the money going to come from? Well, a well-known secret that major banks like Morgan Stanley, like Barclays Bank, etc., know very well, is that private equity, private investors have declared their intention, their interest in investing in this area. It's a $4 trillion demand for investment in the area which is called SEG. It doesn't matter. The point is that the largest segment of investment markets is private investment, and the private investment in this area is in the region of $4 trillion. It's the biggest segment of investment, and all banks want to have access to that. So what I'm working with a number of banks, is to create instruments, financial instruments, to attract and to put to work that form of investment, which is private equity. The bottom line is that we do have the means and the ability, and we can make very profitable choices by taking the private investment in this area on environmental projects, and including the solar energy, clean energy, but also in the consumption of food, in transportation, in all sectors. Mm-hmm. This is a transformation for the economy that benefits everybody. And private investment is interested in investing in. Can we do it? Yes, we can do it. That's what we should be doing right now.
Listen, people, if you're like me, you are sold, okay? You have heard enough, and you're ready to move mountains. Listen, there is so much to be gained. We've barely scratched the surface. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Chichilnisky.com is where you have to go. Reversing climate change, how carbon removals can resolve climate change and fix the economy is the title you have to pick up. And Graciela Chichilnisky is the author you have to thank for bringing it to your table. And people, get this, that's not all. All right, now we didn't have time to go into it today, but be on the lookout, okay? Check back in to her sites frequently because there's another book on the horizon. And that one's called Carbon, Water, and Diamonds. What does it take to reverse climate change? As I mentioned, still in creation, so it's not available for purchase just yet, but it will be released very soon, and you're going to want to get your hands on that as well. The future is hopeful, okay? I'm taking so much of what she said, and I'm leaving with optimism. I'm leaving with hope. And I know you all are as well. Head on over there today. Pick up your copies. This is a wonderful resource to add to your shelf. It's an even better gift to add to someone else's. So you know what to do. Go and purchase your copies today. Graciela, this has been an absolute delight. Such a treasure. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Take care.